Hi, my name is David St. George. I'm the board chairman and chief volunteer at SAFE, and I'm broadcasting live thanks to Gold Seal from booth C55. We really appreciate the Gold Seal ground schools for helping us out here. And I am so honored to have Hal Shevers from Sporty's Pilot Shop here to tell us some stories about his life in aviation. He's been a flight instructor longer than I've been a pilot, and he's seen everything from go to what we're doing now, which is online broadcasting live from Sun and Fun. So if you're at the show, stop by C55. If you're online, you can send us comments. But I'm so glad to have you here. You do so much for SAFE, and I really appreciate that. But I want to get some of those famous stories, like how you learned to fly and where you learned to fly. So where did you learn?
Well, the first thing is, there's no way anybody can know all about flight instruction, because you got to remember, students go home every night, that flight student, and when they fall asleep, they're looking for a new way to kill the flight instructor.
That's a good way to say it.
And if you're ever going to have something happen, it's not when you expect it.
Right.
And we've seen it a few times.
So yeah,
knock on wood, we won't
stay
see
vigilant.
it again.
Yep.
But learning to fly, first of all, people ask me, where did you first get interested in aviation? The answer is, in the womb. I think you're born that way.
Yeah.
And as a kid, Sunday afternoons, where do you want to go on the drive? As a kid, let's go to an airport or the airport or whatever. Then went on a little bit further, and I was always told, as much as you love aviation, your vision is 2400 in your right eye.
Yeah.
Too bad you'll never be able to be a pilot. Well, between junior and senior year of engineering at Purdue, I got a job at Sikorsky Aircraft. Mm-hmm. And the best part of that job is I found out from the flying club at Sikorsky that there was a waiver process for my eye. Came back to Lafayette, Indiana, and went down for a medical, and this old guy, he was probably about half my age that I am now, but anyhow, well, son, the FAA is never going to approve you for this. And I said, well, just give me a medical and send it in. We'll see what happens.
Oh, and you get a waiver.
And lo and behold, here came back a third-class certificate that I could use for student pilot purposes. And of course, the waiver process.
You were off and running.
So that was, Sikorsky was good for me.
Critical. And what year was this?
Summer of 1957.
57.
And you don't think of anything when you're a kid and all this stuff. Well, there were two little GE engines, General Electric engines, that have been sent down from Lynn, Massachusetts, from the General Electric plant there, and with technicians, and they were trying to get two of these to replace that big round engine in the helicopters, and with a gear box between them. And
so were you working as an engineer there?
I was engineering. I shouldn't tell anybody, they'll never fly another Sikorsky aircraft.
You were there doing it. So when did you get into, you got the certificate, when did you get that CFI? Was that like shortly thereafter, right through? Or?
No, came back and had a job in a sales program for Cincinnati Milling Machine, who was the largest manufacturer of machine tools in the world at that time. They had 5,000 employees just in Cincinnati, and anyhow, I traveled kind of for them for 3 years, and when I left them, I said, I'm going to become a flight instructor. And people said, oh, is that how you're going to make your fortune? And I said, I don't know anything about a fortune. And it just grew into what it has.
Well, I've always wondered, because you're obviously an excellent CFI, you're a cautious CFI, you've been doing it a long time, but you obviously have business savvy. And when you said you did sales, that made sense. And I think a lot of young CFIs don't realize when you become a CFI, you're really in business. You have to have insurance, you have to know how to sell yourself, you have to know how to talk to people and shake the hand. And guys like you that had that experience beforehand really accelerate that process. And what SAFE tries to do is take young CFIs and give them those skills, because they don't always have a little background in business and sales. And
that's exactly right. And the opportunities you have on taxes and other things as an independent flight instructor are just unbelievable. Of course, the IRS thinks that all our flight instructors should be employees, and finally figured it out. They want that because they want more of the
take.
they want more of the state.
Right. Well, the thing that, most people know Sporty's pilot shops, and they know how much stuff they have, and they have dealers, and they're everywhere. The thing I'd like to emphasize is Sporty's does so much for the aviation community. They support SAFE every day. Young Eagles, every young eagle that flies gets a free ground school from Sporty's, and Hal told me they have 50,000 of those free ground schools out there starting new pilots. I think we've flown 2 million young eagles now.
Right, over 2 million young eagles, and the 50,000th young eagle since 2009 has just signed on to our Learn to Fly course.
Excellent.
And we call the Learn to Fly course because we have a little different philosophy, which you probably figure out since we've done as well as we have and have the people we have. First of all, we have almost 50 employees. 48 employees have been with us 20 years. We got 25 flight instructors. We practice what we preach. We have 20 aircraft on the line. But our Learn to Fly course, I've always had the feeling the guy that walks in the door has no idea. He says, I want to get a private pilot's license. Most of them just need a recreational or a sport license. However, if you can get them solo, just get them solo. And that's where our Learn to Fly course is. Get them soloed, and then right within the course, now you can make up your mind and change it later if you decide to. There are only 3 ways to go. It doesn't matter if you're going to be a crop duster or a 747 pilot, or
right.
I should say something better. I think we're
777, 787.
Right. Yeah,
but it all starts there with the solo.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there are only 3 ways to go. You can go sport, recreational, or private.
And I know your school does we're going to get a recreational first, and then you're logging hours when you're a PIC when you're working on a private or anything else. So, yeah.
Well, once you've soloed, it's so easy to get that recreational certificate.
Yes.
And once you have that recreational certificate, it's so easy to get that private certificate.
You're there already, yeah.
So it fits right in. It's a great philosophy. And we make a big deal of these solo.
You really...
When someone solos at our place, an alarm goes off in the whole building, and into our lobby, and so you can see the lobby. It's always on a webcam, and I think we have 5 webcams around the place, including our avionics shop. But at any rate, when somebody solos, the alarm goes off, there'll be 30 to 50 people meet in the lobby, and the person comes in the door, and we give them a hand, and then we get their picture with their flight instructor, and we always congratulate the flight instructor
because he survived too.
Right, he's pretty important. And then we go through, tell them why we're cutting their shirt tail, and the flight instructor will decorate the shirt tail, hang it on the board with the picture that was taken, and a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden, that comes back framed.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing. If we want to have more pilots, get more people solo.
And create a big deal and really celebrate that achievement. I think every flight instructor there watching this can learn something from a master salesman, because talking to people and teaching people is selling. And if you want them to continue, you have to create success for them. You have to celebrate those moments one at a time. They want to see that. So we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break here, and in 30 seconds or so, we'll rejoin you here live on C55 Sun and Fun. David St. George. I'm at booth C55 at Sun and Fun with Hal Shevers from Sporty's Pilot Shop. And it's so good to spend time with Hal because he's been there so long and done it all. What's the farmer's commercial? So we've seen a few things.
Yeah.
He's seen a few things. He was telling me in the pre-rolls that he was the original guy that started the 3-day ground school because one of his instructors didn't want to go to class endlessly over months and months and months. So he's the guy that put that together way back in 63?
63. Had some instrument students, and actually at that time, my business was teaching World War II pilots. They didn't have to scud run. World War II was a VFR operation.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, had had 4 guys who wanted to, one in particular, MIT graduate, had a Navion range master, said, I'm not going to go to ground school for 6 months, 2 nights a week. Hal, buy some of those Sanderson slides and the film strips, and let's go through these on a weekend. So he said, get some other guys, and
let's go for it.
That will pay for the Sanderson course.
Right.
And it worked, and all 4 passed, and two of them had bonanzas. The other one was Al Pacell, whose name you might remember. He became an examiner.
Yes.
And,
a lot of
died
people
10 years
started
ago,
that with you.
Good guy. But anyhow, we had our 3-day ground school. Everybody passed. I'll try it again. And a guy up near Muncie, Indiana, Portland, Indiana, hey, would you bring it up here? Another guy asked me out in Harrison, Ohio, and he had a turkey slaughter operation, and it's the only ground school I've ever given at a turkey slaughter. Wasn't Thanksgiving, thank God.
Yes,
but,
yes.
At any rate,
it just grew and grew and grew.
Well, from there, a guy who became best friends, Joe Vorbeck from Purdue University.
Right.
He was chair of general aviation education.
Uh-huh.
Then Charlie Holloman, who you probably know, was chair of professional pilot aviation. Well, anyhow, Joe said it can't be done in 3 days. I said, come to one of my ground schools. So Joe came there and sat there just very stiff for 3 days. At the end of it, he said, well, and everybody passed again. At the end of it, he said, well, it can be done, but your school stinks. He said it in more graphic language.
I bet he did.
And so anyhow, that started a great friendship. It's too bad Joe passed away about 10 years ago. But anyhow, he rewrote the course. We put it together. We started giving it around the country very quickly. We got AOPA to sponsor it. And we had some weekends. We had one weekend in Atlantic City, New Jersey, 150 students.
Wow.
And like at $100 a piece.
Yeah.
We thought we were in Fat City.
Sure.
But anyhow, all of a sudden we started buying Aztecs, and the very following weekend we had 150 at a Hilton Inn that used to be at the entrance to in Millbrae, California. Right at the entrance to SFO, San Francisco International Airport, and we were on the way. And
young CFI figures out how to make money in aviation.
And we went around really we had some outside the country, but it was a great business for years.
Great and busy.
And Sporty's, I don't know if you know it or not, what's kept us alive for 57 years. Educational products.
Right.
We've always sold the best educational products available at that time. And at one time there were the King videos.
Yeah.
They jumped ahead of us. We're still giving schools in person, so we carried those for a while, and then
started your own.
Obviously took what we already had, got it onto DVD, and 2001, the DVD came out.
Yep.
And when that came out, I said, we've been shooting all this stuff at broadcast quality. Now we can deliver it in broadcast quality.
Right.
So the DVD just
took off,
accelerated us.
Well, I've always liked your course. You know, I don't want to slam anyone, but your course is a very comprehensive. I mean, it's a complete, not just a ground school, but all the details of how to learn to fly. If you're a SAFE member, you're getting 20% off with SAFE. I mean, this guy is just a philanthropist for us, but it's a wonderful, complete course. It's not just answer the questions, pass the test. Become a really solid, safe pilot. Because it's written by a really good, long-time CFI. You got a great team. You have a great team.
We've got, I think I said 48 employees who've been with us over 20 years, and they're doing a better job than I ever did.
Well, we know that you create some wonderful people.
But this is what an educator is. And that's the E here, educator.
Yep. Educator.
An educator is, I think, is someone that can take their skill, pass them off to somebody else who can then do it better than they can. I'm not a very good pilot, really, never was. But I knew how to teach people and get them going. And, you know, at the age I am now, in order to get their attention, I carry a 2x4. Just tap them on the head and have their attention.
Gently tap. Anyway, one of the things I love too is that you're supporting that Airfax with John Zimmerman and magazine online. You know, nice blogs. If you're an experienced aviator, you can contribute there. And the Dick Collins magazine, Airfax, since forever, and you still keep it digitally going. I mean, there's a great lot of history in aviation, and you learn a lot of things from people that survived through all that time. In other words, when you see gray hair, that pilot has succeeded in managing risks. That's why they're still here.
You should see the yellow streak down my back.
Yeah, right. I was going to say.
I don't go for. I'm a straight and level pilot. I just, it's transportation I've been trying to sell.
And fun. You have done a great job selling fun. I watched your Bahamas video way back when it was a VHS, and that got me going to the Bahamas. And I can't tell you, as an instructor, you have to make money. You have to do what Hal does, figure out a niche in the market. You have to also sell fun. You have to sell success. When your students succeed, make sure you celebrate that. Make sure you tell them what other good things they can do with their certificate. And you have all these products of where you can fly, what you can do. I would really encourage you to support Sporties, because Sporties gives back to the industry. He helps us. He helps so many people, young Eagles. A wonderful business you've created.
Can I get one thing in here? And
yes,
that is
you can.
Something I'm really passionate about is Boy Scouts of America and their exploring program. What used to be the Air Scouts is now Aviation Exploring. We have a couple hundred aviation exploring posts around the country. I'm, believe it or not, chairman of the National Aviation Exploring Committee. We've been raising $60,000 a year for scholarships for explorers, and this year we got 25 applications from explorers around the world. Some are in flight school, some are in avionics school, mechanics school. We're just trying to promote aviation. And you can have an aviation exploring post.
I have one, actually. And when you said, no, thank you.
Okay.
Yep, I have one in Ithaca, New York, but when you said money's available, so tell me more about that. So explorers can access scholarships to...
Yes.
Okay.
So there's $60,000 a year right now, and if I could... that came from the Sporty Foundation.
Well, thank you very much.
But we have contributors to that, because the Sporty Foundation doesn't even pay for a postage stamp.
Yeah.
No salaries, nothing. 100% of the money goes to the kids.
Wow.
And we've done that for years now, and as long as we don't get too big, we won't have to have an employee. But we can. The more donations we get, the more scholarships we're going to give to the next generation.
I'm in awe. You do so much for aviation, Hal. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us here today. I really appreciate it. So anyone that's watching, we're at C55. We're live. Sporties has a big presence here. Go over to the Sporties tent. If you join SAFE today, you can get a free FERC from Sporties, flight instructor renewal. So thank you for everything you do for aviation, and I hope we have many more years together.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.